Hey everybody, welcome to episode 40 of Strength Coach TV, the show where we take you inside some of the country's best gyms, give you a tour, sit down with the owner, and talk a little bit of shop. All right, my name's Anthony Renna, and you can get more information or subscribe at continuefit.com. Today we head out, I'm continuing my trip in Detroit. We're going to Ann Arbor to Advantage Strength. Brian Sitbots, he was a former professional hockey player, opened his own space in the old USA national team development rink. So that was kind of an interesting piece of it. But let's head out to Ann Arbor to Advantage Strength. Hey guys, welcome to Strength Coach TV. Anthony Renna here. I am here with Brian Sitbots from Advantage Strength and Conditioning in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Continuing my tour in Detroit. Brian, thanks for doing this.
No problem. Happy to have you.
All right. Well, we are in actually the USA. We were just at the USA Development Center and speaking with Darryl Nelson. This used to be their strength and conditioning facility. We're inside of a rink. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so it's actually, the space was added onto the rink about 18 years ago. We're up on the second floor right now, so what it was, second floor, same footprint all the way down. Second floor was their training space, this area right here. Down below were all the administrative offices and coaches' offices and things like that. So once the USA moved out, our location was about a mile and a half away. Yeah. Once it became available, we took it over.
So now your other location, how big was it?
Other one was probably, but we expanded once into it and was probably 3,900.
What is this?
This is 4,100. So gained a little bit of space and a lot of better real estate.
So knowing that those guys have been there 2 years, you've been here 2 years now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Who's the member? I mean, obviously you're a former hockey player, pro hockey player, and college hockey player. You're from the area. You're in a hockey rink. I mean, are you working with anybody else but hockey players? You know,
it's starting to trickle in now. I think we're doing a better job of, like we talked about in the roundtable, just talking a lot about conditioning athletes and training athletes. So I think that word has traveled. So we are starting to get now, and we're still 60 to 70% hockey players. Yeah. But it's starting to travel a little bit, and now we're getting a lot more lacrosse, a lot of girls soccer players, a lot of, we're still light on basketball and football because they kind of do their own thing. But a lot of field sports. Yep.
Now, is that a specific effort by you guys, or is it more of kind of you've been, like over time, brothers and sisters, friends start to come in and,
Yeah, well, it is, and it's that kind of compounding effect where you work with 3 people the first year, and then they bring 2 friends, and then they bring 2 friends. Yeah. We are kind of at that time now, that 5 years where things have started to open up, and now, I mean, we're getting a lot of interest and we're getting really busy. So
what about adults? Because everybody talks about, and we talked a little bit about this last night, what is this idea of like you start out with athletes, but then there's an off season or an in season that messes with you, or you get those peaks and valleys. Everybody talks about working with adults. Yeah. You really got to work with adults because it's going to help you. Are you guys? Is there any future in that for you guys? Or?
Yeah, and I was sort of urged that way. Doing some other coaching, some business type coaching. Yeah. I was sort of urged that way, and at first I didn't really know how to speak the language, and it took me about a year to figure out that it really is. It's 2 different businesses, and we can talk about more like in the business segment too. But we're really talking to 2 different audiences. So on my email list, we have Mondays that go out to the adults, and then Wednesdays that go out to the adults with youth athletes. Yeah. So it's constantly updating email lists and stuff like that. So that's the challenge. Once you get in the door, the training is very similar, minus Olympic lifts for the adults. We'll do other power development type stuff that they tend to like to push the sleds. They like to throw the medicine balls, stuff like that. Of course. So we do a little bit of different stuff in practice, but the bulk of the strength training is the same.
Cool. All right. Well, let's go downstairs and we'll start the tour.
All right. All right, so we're standing outside the front entrance here. This is actually the entrance to the Ann Arbor Ice Cube, which is the ice rink that we're attached to. And then these are our doors right here. Like I said before, formerly the USA offices, but now you'll see like both floors have been converted into 2 different businesses. The cycling studio here. Cycling studio is here, brand new within the last 3 months.
Oh wow!
So they did a super sweet job. Like it's totally decked out in there. It looks awesome.
Yeah.
And then so that sort of forced me to step up my game a little bit. So we added a bunch of stuff to the walls and some directional stuff. So like these wall wraps and stuff are sort of made to draw you this way. So there's sort of the subtle arrows there.
Yep.
And then same thing with the door here because people were kind of getting lost.
Yeah.
Especially when these were all offices right here. But
yeah.
So we'll head on up the stairs. We are on the 2nd floor, which I think is a bad idea for a weight room, but you live with it, you know?
Yeah. Obviously, we'll talk about that later, but you know, there's obviously some advantages to coming to this space. So, I love this branding. We'll talk more about that too. You really did a good job with kind of coming up the stairs, because a lot of times you go upstairs and they're kind of dingy and not taken care of.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the original red carpet. It used to be all red carpet, which, you know, it's something. Yeah. I think, you know, luckily we have red in our logo, so it actually worked out okay.
That's kind of cool, because I was thinking that you did it, you know?
No.
So that's nice. Yeah, maybe you might have a problem with some old people coming up here.
Yeah, there's an elevator. We're all ADA.
Oh, there is an elevator. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure. All right. Nice. You got the changing room right
Yeah, we got the Superman change room right there.
Sweet.
Yeah. We have a really good graphic designer, so he does some fun stuff with the branding that you mentioned. He does some really cool stuff.
Very cool.
We have kind of themes that run through all of this stuff. So that piece is coming together. That it's a slow process, but.
Cool. Basically, this is it for your guys, right? They're putting their stuff in here.
Yeah, walk right in, set stuff down, and walk in. We got another set of cubbies, but yeah, and then you're coming into the space here.
Are they checking in here? The front desk, the front desk person?
Yeah, so they'll come in, check in, start rolling out. This area right here actually used to be, you can see there's like a new patch of turf right there, or a new used patch of turf. This area right here actually used to be a skating treadmill, just like the one you saw at USA.
Oh yeah.
So since this was their facility before, they had the whole deck and the whole machine right here. So we got that out like 4 or 5 months ago. So we sort of lived with it for a while, but obviously it's a nice piece of real estate. And so people come right in, they check in, and then they can foam roll and do all their warm-up stretching stuff here. No.
Or you have somebody at the desk?
Right. No, yeah, we have somebody at the desk all the time. And yeah, so then from there, once we get groups going, we'll get right to the yellow line there. We use the length of the turf for an active warm-up.
Yeah, guys are doing their warm-up.
Yeah, warm-up dynamic stuff. And then, yeah, from there, we'll flow through the facility. You want to talk about the flow now, or?
Yeah, let's go right through the flow here. How they go.
All right, so just recently, at the beginning of the year, we changed the layout and the flow a little bit, we were having some like backup issues, and so we try to start adult classes at 5:30, and then teens will come in on the hour, right? So 5:30 adult class, 6 o'clock teen, 6:30 adult class, 7 o'clock teen. And what we were having some like bad crossover and like people mixing all over the place, and as a whole, you know, the adults getting bumped by kids while they're trying to work out wasn't very good for anybody's experience. So basically the way we have it programmed out is, you know, we're going to do our sled work, power work, any kind of sprinting that we're doing if it's with a team. We'll do it here. The med ball wall is down on this mirror wall at the very end there. So then after a warm up and all the sled work and med ball work, we're done with that part. So we actually then have people go back behind the dumbbells here. So it's almost like a breakwater there.
Nice.
And so then you get the groups that are back there, or the adults that are behind the dumbbells, and we can start warming a group up here.
Yeah.
So putting the biggest change was putting the dumbbells sort of in the middle of the floor, but it works. It works
That's
for us.
the problem sometimes. You can't predict the future with flow.
Right.
You know, you can try the best you can, but depending on how the facility's built, it can be hard.
Yeah.
How long is this turf for? What do you got?
Let's see. We have 90 feet from the beginning of the turf to the white wall down there.
Okay.
So yeah, we're looking at about 65 to 70 feet. Actually, we're about 100 feet long.
Nice.
So yeah, it's a perfect layout. perfect space. The only thing that keeps you from seeing the whole thing is the air ducts right there. That duct work right in the middle is sort of a big pillar.
Oh, yeah.
So we missed the last 2 racks down there, but really that's sort of an auxiliary area at this point anyway. So
yeah, from the coaching perspective, you can pretty much see everything.
Yeah, exactly.
So these guys will move in, so they'll come, they'll do their warm up, and then they're going to be in this area. We have a couple of racks. I was telling you before, I love the shirts, the jerseys like that, because I'm not a big fan of the ones in the glass,
and they just end up looking all wrinkled and smushed in there. But yeah, really all that is like a garden stick, and then we tie it to whatever pipe is available, and
nice.
Yeah, we're starting to get a decent collection together. Here, I'll show you this. We put this up because everyone was storing their programs, their sheets on our desk, and it was just a madhouse up front. So we put in this shelf here, and it sort of quickly became the shelf to sign. So now when people come in, they'll start to work on this. They'll draw little pictures and stuff like that.
That's funny.
So everybody will sign the bench when the women's teams were here. They actually did a pre-camp before the Women's World Championships.
Yeah.
And a couple of the teams came up here, and a bunch of the teams signed,
cool.
like the Swedish team signed, the Russian team signed. So it's just, good ways to amass like little memories and little bits of, flair from office space.
It builds a sense of community.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. So, did you have to make any changes in terms of, obviously, USA Hockey's here, you have the same philosophy, a lot of the same philosophies as Daryl, and so you didn't have to put this wall in here, right? I mean, obviously, it wasn't sheetrock. You didn't have to make any changes, did you?
Well, no structural changes at all. In fact, the mirrors are still there. It sort of jammed things up a little bit with the mirrors being there, and did cause a couple issues, like just really minor things. But when Daryl was up here, he had the racks all the way down the mirrors, and then this was kind of cardio stuff and some dip racks, and he had a lot of equipment that he didn't use.
Did he have was this turf?
No, it was like all rubber floor.
Okay. So why didn't you put the racks up against this wall?
Because I wanted the length, number one. Yeah, so that the length, and this, like I said, this sort of gets busted up.
Yeah, with this thing right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, they, like bare minimum would be 10 feet in between racks, and this is almost exactly 50 feet. So in the beginning we had 5 racks across there. But then when we moved the dumbbells out, we changed things up a little bit.
Yeah.
And what we actually have here are, let's say we have 6 adults in a class.
Yeah.
Once they're done on the turf and they circle around behind dumbbells there, we can have a coach and 2 people at each rack. So we almost have little stations, workout stations.
Yeah.
And everything they need is there. Pull up, TRX, got the bands, balls up top. So everything they need is really right there. We don't use the bars that much. But yeah, there's still turf if we're doing like slider work and anything like that.
Yeah, nice. It's a big med ball wall too. Right?
Yeah, lots of space. We can fit a full team working on there. The other thing that's kind of cool, this whole space, the whole black area right here, when USA was here, was a sport court. Like the tiles that you clip together.
Okay.
And this was their stick handling shooting area. So the guys that hang out and bring up their gloves and sticks and stuff, stash them in the corner, and then they'd be shooting after a workout or whatever. So if you come on over here, the net was right there, and before we painted the wall, it was hilarious. There was like this outline of a net, outline of posts that was pure white, and everything around it was just black from all the puck marks.
Yeah.
But you can kind of see we kept all the USAs because that's obviously a big part of this place. There's puck marks in the USAs, and then if you look at the back of the office door here, it's just beat to hell.
Oh man!
So we went over the list of names last night. Probably, I don't know, 150, 200 NHLers.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, that have gone through that program. So puck marks from when they were shooting around here as kids. I think it's a cool factor, especially as a hockey guy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's your office here, right?
Yeah.
So nice. And just kind of
take a peek. It's reasonably clean.
I like this picture. Nice. Again,
yeah, those are all in-house. Like done in-house. And
yeah, it's cool, the branding. So we'll definitely talk about that. I want to get your thoughts on the whole branding thing, and it looks like you're doing it pretty organically. Where a lot of people I was saying earlier have just put up a bunch of pictures or quotes.
Yeah.
This looks like it's you're getting the jerseys, you're getting some good pictures from your guys.
Well, to me, it's like tattoos. You wouldn't go out and get a bunch of stuff that doesn't mean anything to you. You'd go out and I know who took that picture. Yeah. That's my high school hockey team right there. Yeah. It's just so once you get stuff that's really cool, you're like, I got to put that up.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, let's sit down and talk some business.
Sure thing.
All right, great, Brian. Thanks for the tour, and kind of fun again for me being such a big hockey fan. Being at USA, coming here where they used to be. Right. And I love this idea I always love the idea of somebody who played a sport, you played professional hockey, and starts to train. Now that can be a bad thing. Some people don't like that. They're like, oh, these guys that have done that, they come in there and they're really closed-minded because you're gonna say, well, this is the way I did it. I made it to the pros. Here we go. We're gonna just back squat and deadlift and barbell bench press. That's it. Talk to me about that transition from being a player into an owner. Maybe some of also not the challenges, but maybe some of the things that you were like, man, what was I thinking when I first started?
Yeah, well, when we started the business, it was appointment only. So as soon as I was done playing, we moved back here. I took a high school coaching job just to kind of fill time while I was looking for other jobs. And I looked at athletic administration at University of Michigan, Toledo, and Eastern Michigan, all these big Division I schools that are around here. And wasn't really getting a sniff or anything like that. And the chance to open a business came along. And because I was coaching hockey already, because I was coaching in high school, that was something that schools weren't starting to get their own strength and conditioning guy. Yeah, we talked about that in the roundtable, that idea that schools are now starting to get their own strength and conditioning guys in-house. That wasn't happening yet, so there was a real need. And so when we opened, we started with 5 teams, training 2 or 3 times a week, which paid the bills right off the bat. Yeah. So it was appointment only. It was sweet because I didn't have to be here Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Nobody wanted to schedule then. Yeah. But then after 6 or 8 months of that, and getting into the hockey season, you start realizing oh, I am going to need to do more here. Yeah. So we started a membership structure, and right out of the layered pricing structure, right from the National Fitness Business Alliance. Yeah. Plumber stuff. And I started learning from the Perform Better people right away. Yeah. It's a pretty good group to fall into. And also when we started training, luckily I had met Daryl, was working a camp with Daryl's girlfriend, and then sort of we were introduced and started this relationship, and so I basically consulted with him right off the bat, and said, tell me what you know. Which was a long conversation, but we put those training systems into play, and that's how we ended up here. And I think one of the things that I've realized, and it's funny you ask that, because I've been thinking about that a lot lately as an athlete. There's a lot of downfalls to that. You think, I'm going to go in, I'm athletic, I know athletics, I'm going to go in and tell these kids what they need to know. Yeah. But what I've realized is that the percentage of people who know what I'm talking about is so small. And especially now working with adults, the mindset of what I think is important and the mindset of what the adult population thinks is important is vastly different. Yeah. Right. So I've realized that I need to do some work there as a coach. Yeah. And get out of, because I've never athletic and struggle weren't a thing for me. So I don't understand a kid that has low confidence in as a freshman in high school. Yeah. I don't understand adult who struggles with weight loss and things like that. So it's not that I don't understand. I'm getting there. Yeah. You didn't come
from this, like somebody like me, where I was in a big box gym, I was training people, got my chops in training people, might have got an athlete here or there. When I personally went into the golf and opened my own facility, so I was coming from kind of this other structure and training, and like got that experience that way, where you were just really kind of came in, started with athletes right away,
right,
doing your thing. So.
Yeah, looking back on it, it's super lucky because that's where people want to be. And another thing we talked about is there are interns coming up who want to be there.
Yeah.
And that's where they want to start. And of course, so many athletes want to start there.
Yeah.
It just so happened that when we started, I was in a good position. I knew enough people just completely it was total fluke.
Yeah.
That sort of led to success in the beginning, which allowed us to get past that. I don't know what the stat is, something like 90% are gone after 3 years or something like that. So it's really like we got a good head of steam to get over that first speed bump, and then moved on from there.
And it's not like it's all luck. I mean, you do a lot of, you get coaching. You're coaching with Vince Gabriel right now, right? Mm-hmm. You've done, like you said, a bunch of Perform Better stuff. You've actively pursued this, and that's what people have to understand is, and that's why we do shows like this, is to kind of keep reinforcing other people's mistakes, other people's successes, and because you have to learn from the other people, but you really got to keep going with the education, otherwise it doesn't stop. Like you said, you could be really successful here, working with all these athletes, but you're like, I don't even know what to do with adults right now.
Right. Well, I mean, the drive for me is to develop something that like matters to people. And I guess it's sort of an ego thing, I guess. That's a big fall from professional athlete to unemployed. So I needed something that was gonna matter to people. So that might be my drive is learning. And now it's more like I enjoy helping people. And so that's sort of what the drive is, to listen to books every car ride or podcasts, or and pick up books and read books and stuff like that. It's like, how can I make something that matters here? Because there's nothing worse than like putting yourself out there and taking a big digger and then got to go try something else, which is fine. I mean, we do that in the business all the time. We try programs, try to get them off the ground, they fail. It's like, all right, what else can we try? But this business as a whole, I'd like to be significant.
Let's sidetrack a little bit backwards to this idea, because I felt like this in the golf world too, was a lot of country clubs were upgrading, and one of the ways that they were upgrading in my area anyway is adding gyms, right? And because they knew, okay, look, more and more people are getting to the golf fitness thing, and somebody's out there making some money, so the country club's like, let's keep them here, let's allow them to come here, do their workouts, get some golf fitness stuff going. They all have tennis courts too. But I found, like, I just started thinking about it when you said it, with the high schools, more and more high schools are getting strength and conditioning coaches. Do you think that's going to really start to become a thing where it's going to affect some of these sports performance businesses?
It has. It's hard to compete with free. Essentially. So we've had teams that have been with us, and then, a quorum says, we really like the training there, but the kids are already at school. Which was a huge bonus to moving to the rink, because now the kids are already at the rink. And so they can just pop right upstairs. But on the high school coaching thing, it's going to be something to deal with. But I think if you do a good job with carving out a niche for yourself and being really good at something, then you're going to be sought out for that. And there's going to be strength coaches in a high school setting that run excellent programs, but because it's everyone does it, there's still going to be those people who are like, no, you know what, let's go get some specialized stuff, even if the programming is very, very close. And even when it's crappy, a lot of times they don't know. Right. And like you said, you can't beat free sometimes. Right.
Talk to me a little bit about the advantage, or like you just mentioned, it being a niche. Maybe the advantage, obviously we know the advantage of being in a rink, being a former hockey player, and training a lot of hockey players. But there's some disadvantages of that too. Like you said, seasonal. When the season starts, it's like, where is everybody?
Right.
The tumbleweeds are going through. What are some disadvantages also of kind of being in the rink and being like kind of super micro niche?
Yeah. And the hockey world in terms of athletics is not that big. It's a lot bigger here in Ann Arbor and Detroit than it is anywhere else.
Yeah.
A lot of other places. The downfall, like you said, there used to be a slow season, especially when we were away from the rink. But now what's happened with this move is, because in season is typically a slow time for hockey training facilities, we're now at the rink where the teams are. So like now they're all coming here anyway.
Yeah.
Whereas before we were only a mile and a half away, like I said, and it was an extra pick up and drop off for the parents or the kids. So that was it was a stopper. It was a deal breaker for a lot of people. So now we're busy this summer with individuals, but there's no team. So it's sort of like the business is teams are up in season, and then in the summer teams are basically non-existent. We have a couple, but then the individuals come up. So it's actually, and I saw it obviously as a good business opportunity to be here, but I didn't understand really how it was going to play out, and it's basically evened us out across all the quarters. Yeah, nice.
Let's talk a little bit about this stuff. I noticed it right away before I even saw you, and I walked in, I was like, ooh, this is cool. Because a lot of that stuff sometimes, people will say, what are you spending money on? A stairwell, you have these beautiful, like this type of stuff coming up, the logos, and but I think I noticed it right away. That's number one.
Yeah.
Like, wow, this is pretty cool, and it's beautiful kind of walk, and it does direct you right up the stairs. There's no two ways about it where to go. Tell us a little bit about your investment in this.
Yeah, there's investments in the photos, and it ends up being pretty significant if you want a good batch of them.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that sort of happens over time is, it takes monthly visits from a photographer to really amass some really cool photos that you love to use.
Yeah.
And with the emails and social media posts, like it's just nice to have them.
Yes.
So that's one part of it is having photos that sort of display what we do.
Yeah.
And the story on downstairs, that's all relatively new. When they built that cycling studio, like I said, it's top notch.
Yeah.
And like the guys from New York, he brought the idea from New York, like a Soul Cycle kind of thing, where everything is just high end.
Yep.
Everything, from the bikes to the fixtures on down. So then once they finished that and they got the glass all polished up and they were ready to open the doors, I'm looking around, I'm like, this looks like shit now. Like my stuff looks bad.
Yeah.
And it was a very, very stark difference between where the nice stuff ended and the 20-year-old stuff began.
Yep.
So we're like, we have to do something. So we get with a graphic designer. We use the same guy for everything. At this point, it's fairly easy for him because he knows what it's going to be for us.
Yeah.
We've got that blue background with sort of the icon in the middle, and so we started to wrap the wall, and it also, like I said, has some directional stuff in it, so it just sort of sweeps you up the stairs. And I love Disney. Like, I have a huge crush on Disney.
Okay.
A bit on the business side of things. And so it's one of those things where it's like everything is on stage. Everything is on stage. Everything that people see, that people can see or can interact with, is on stage.
Yeah.
And so all that stuff has to be, for me, like impeccable.
Yeah.
And so it's all a part of the experience. It's like you said, if you have something that's nice and noticeable, that sets that.
It does. Sets the tone right away. Like when you walk in here, it's obviously they saw it through the tour, but here it's really pretty, and the red rug and.
Yeah, that happened to work out, but But,
what about staying on the Disney thing really quick? What about your staff? Because we were talking about the sleeveless again, and I agree. I mean, people don't, especially when you start to work with adults. Like, they don't want to see anybody coming in, you know, like all the people in your staff, and you know, with sleeveless shirts. But do you kind of try to expand that philosophy, the Disney idea behind, you know, with some of the staff, and employees, and all that stuff?
I'll share
the cast.
Exactly. Like they get maybe sick of it, but I'll send them clips from books or you know, audio clips, and just say, hey, listen to this or read this. This is why we do this. This is why we greet them by name when they walk in the door. Because it's all that experience. It's all that, like, and we talked about this a little bit too. Like the training, people will go do the training anywhere. I think, you know, whatever your philosophy is, people will go do the training anywhere. But if it's somewhere where they feel like they're a part of something, they're a part of an experience, they're a part of something that's nice. You know, those are people that are going to keep coming back. And that's, to paraphrase a Mark Fisher quote, the best thing that we can do for our clients, it's not programming, it's getting them in as much as possible. So that's not about the workout. That's more about the experience. So very cool. Let's finish up with, you open up at 2 o'clock. That's kind of late. Is it because you're out drinking every night and you need to wake up late? No, I mean, there's an opportunity there in the morning. We just talked about all this adult stuff. There's certainly plenty of opportunity here. I'm sure there's not a lot of hockey out. You have all this parking. What's the plan for the mornings? So when you open a youth place, I didn't want to be here at 6 o'clock right off the bat. You know, when we have lots of open hours in the afternoon that we could schedule. Plus, kids are coming over after school, so that was the original thing. And I actually asked Daryl about this. It's like, to try to get permission, I was like, when was Boyle's place open when he first started? And he's like, he was open 2 to 9. I was like, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Cressy too. In the beginning, same idea.
So open 2 to 9, and then, you know, we had my daughter, and I mean, I get to be home. My son's in first grade now, but you know, there for a couple of years when they weren't in school, my wife and I had it worked out where I get to be home with the kids every morning. It's like dad and kid time, good quality time. And we you know, have different arrangements. Either she'd come home or I'd take them to daycare for like 3 hours, whatever it is. So I get to open a business and raise my kids at the same time, which is huge. So then, I know there's an opportunity in the morning. I know that exists. We lose people weekly because they're like, I really like a morning workout. But at this point, we're fine, and I'm not cashing in that time with my daughter. Now, she'll go to school in the fall, so she'll be in kindergarten. And so in the fall, we're going to start morning hours because then I'll come in, be the early morning guy, maybe out by most nights by 3:30, something like that, and then I can run by, pick up the kids from school, and be dad at night.
And also, I mean, obviously the idea of the business is, you know, you have staff, so you could start out with them opening up or them kind of running the show, even if it was just from 8 to 10. A couple adult classes. There's always ways to enter the market, I guess, right?
And the easiest way right now is for me to just block that off and say that's me. You know, the easiest way is to do it that way and see how the morning business picks up. And then I you know, as a coaching client of Vince Gabriel's, I went out there in the last fall, and he's got guys that are there in the morning. His guys are there in the morning coaching, 6 o'clock class, and on through, you know, 10 o'clock. He comes in at 8, takes care of his stuff. Now, I mean, that's a schedule that works for him. He gets his kids ready and off to school and stuff. And, you know, I foresee that at some point. But, you know, for right now, not knowing what the morning business is really going to be like, I'd rather be the guy and take some light classes early on. And plus, we have another college like club team that we work with during the day here, so it saves me a trip in. I'm already here. But yeah, I mean, it's been awesome to to be with my kids in the morning at least.
Unbelievable.
But now they're getting to the age where they drive around, or they have to go to practices and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so my wife's getting pretty bogged down with that stuff, running kids all over the place.
Yeah.
So, but now I can be a part of that and still run the business, and really it's shaped up to be something that right now I'm kind of free. Like I'm free to move around. We're fully staffed all the time. I don't need to be on the floor most of the time.
Yeah.
But the only drawback with that is that now I'm starting to feel a little bit distanced from the kids and stuff like that. So I need to do a better job of getting out there.
Yeah, the kids here.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be some sacrifice. You got to give up something. You're going to give up that engagement, personal engagement, to make sure that your staff can engage the people.
Exactly.
They're doing the same thing you were doing.
And that's the thing. Like I need to trust that my staff is doing that. Also, and train them to do that.
Yep. Very cool. Love it. I mean, it's a great story. I love the way you're progressing, and I love the path that you're on in terms of you're going to keep getting the coaching, working with Vince.
Yeah.
Keep trying to. There's a lot of room here, like we talked about, for growth.
Yeah.
With this whole morning thing too.
Right.
So you got a long way to go. So good stuff, man.
Keep grinding.
Brian, thanks so much for
Thanks,
doing
Sam.
this.
Appreciate
Really
it.
Appreciate it.